Hey everyone, my name is Karma and welcome to the first episode of my series called Map Review. Now this is a series where I take the community's workshop maps and review them, and at the end of the video I give them a final score out of 10. Now this score, bear in mind, is based off the time of review. Now today's map is a bomb defusal map set in Norway called Garrison. Now, Garrison pegs itself as the spiritual and artistic successor to both Cobblestone and Inferno. In the description is a call-out map so you can understand every spot that I'm talking about on the map and in this video, as well as a link to the actual map on the Steam Workshop so you guys can rate it, give some feedback, and also put it on your server and subscribe to it, or even go for a little walk around on it on your own. Now, this map is beautiful in some areas, but it has its problems both layout-wise and artistically. So my first problem is that you could see a particular position called Soda Pop, which is a sniper tower. The big problem with this spot is you can see it from almost anywhere, whether that be B site or CT spawn. And this really needs to be fixed, as it's a very important position for the Ts to take a site from the CTs with. And there's so many angles that can just fixate on it that it leads to multiple problems for the Ts on executions. Combine that with the fact that it has a door that can be spammed through, and with so many angles to check before you can truly entry onto the site, it makes the position nightmarish and sometimes useless. You can't even get out of it sometimes as well. The next thing is these easy to achieve boosts, which basically allow you to have these angles on the Ts which are really effective and also hard for the Ts to combat, makes the gameplay really unbalanced, kind of like Nuke. So I suggest that these be removed, as these positions also allow the CTs to basically flank the Ts on a particular execute, and also have very unconventional angles on them, and that in hand makes it inherently CT sided. Combine this with the very easily abused cannons on the A site, which allow the CTs to hide behind and take also next to no damage. It effectively makes the A site and entering on it way too hard to even take. So there's too many angles and places to look, and they're just all very unconventional. They're very strange angles. So I think A really needs a good hard look at. Now, going back to Soda Pop, on the actual T side, there's a little entrance hole that you have to duck through that, again, basically makes the spot a nightmare. And it's probably because you're too slow to move through it. So if you actually... I understand that basically the CTs can't get to it as fast as you can, but if the CTs actually gain control of that area because you go from, say, B and then go back to A, then they could sit on a peg that I'm showing you right now and basically gain some really easy kills. So there is one saving grace for the A site, and that's the ability to throw smokes over the wall to do executions and setups. And this is very similar to Inferno and Cobblestone's B sites, but with a very open bomb site with very little cover for the Ts once the site has been taken, and so many angles to really cover once you're entering. It's very hard for the Ts to actually keep the site, and it's very easy for the CTs to retake the site. This, on top of the really huge passageways to and from the CT spawn, which the CTs use to rotate to retake the A site from, it makes it incredibly hard for the Ts to kind of, put down smokes and have a really easy defense, or even not even an easy one, more like a decent defense. So the A site really needs changes in this structure. It needs to be less open to the B site and CT spawn, so the terrorists can really hold the site effectively on retakes, smoke off areas, and prevent early rotation. So I think a way to really fix this is to add a doorway or two really at the trails area, so that the map can kind of flow better for the terrorists and they can smoke off these positions and have a more focused bomb defense. Now, moving on to the B site, this is probably the best site on this map. If you manage to have like a CT patrolling the middle area, you can have 3 to 4 different setups on the site that are very effective crossfires. And that's really reminiscent to maps like Cache and Inferno. There's even a sneaky spot or two that you can have that the Ts can counter, and that allows for some really unique moments of action where if they don't check these spots that you can actually get, maybe 2 or 3 kills. Now, the door on the B site is also a great addition. It's destructible and it's really crucial to the defense of the site. So if the Ts take this, they can use this to advantage when they're taking the site, or even use it for some unique executions. And it's very impeccable for the CTs to either watch it or have very good defense on it, because, you know, there's an area that the Ts could set up in through it. Now, the big problem, however, with the B site is the huge amount of space around it. Mainly because it's mostly unused, or it's really wasted space. And in these areas, there's also way too many angles, there's weird awkward head peeks through windows, and a bunch of walkways that provide very confusing gameplay. So I would recommend that you maybe make this space less open and much more simple, as there's too many paths and variations, and it can make gameplay sometimes a little bit unfair, because people can just sit in a corner that would be maybe not checked and then kill you, as opposed to, you know, maps like Inferno and Cobblestone, which have very particular angles that you have to check. So even maps like Cobblestone, for instance, have moved away from this concept of really complicated open layouts to make a more simplified map layout, and I really feel like this map should too. So be sure to follow the concepts of maps like Dust 2 and Mirage, where almost every area of the map is used except for a small portion, such as backyard on A Dust 2 and the B apartments on Mirage. As for the art style, I found some bugs, such as these stairs and the rocks outside A being clippable, but other than that, the art style is actually mostly okay, but it's nothing fantastic. It doesn't really blow me away. And I would recommend that other than fixing these little art bugs, you focus on one set of assets for your map's themes. Because right now it's kind of confusing, as sometimes this map looks like Cobblestone, and in some areas it looks like Inferno or Mirage. I'd rather you stick with one theme for the map and add in some unique art assets that make your map unique, but in a subtle way. Props such as the Norwegian flag that you have can convey that this is a different map in a relatively subtle manner to both the player and the spectators. Now, my huge gripe with this map is the actual layout. It's way too open, and CT spawn is way too close to the B site. And as a result, the mid area suffers, which is really wrong for a map. I mean, I understand other maps such as Cobblestone have the spawn on a bomb site, but that's really combat by having the drop down area and the middle actually being able to be controlled by the CTs, so you're pushing people away from the spawn. But in this map, you can basically ignore the middle completely and just play passively in the bomb sites or in CT spawn and still win rounds. My other huge problem is that there's way too many boosts and angles for the CTs to use. And in casual kind of maps, this is actually okay. That type of stuff is fine because it's fun. But if you want to make your map a competitive map, start sticking up invisible walls and make areas not accessible through jumps. And, you know, those two jumps that I showed you in CT spawn really shouldn't be possible, or at least they shouldn't have as much vision as they do. So if an area is too easy to climb and it gives someone too much of an advantage for relatively little risk, it really shouldn't be in the map. So T shouldn't have to look a million places when entering a site. They should be looking at 5 to 6 spots maximum on a really bad kind of constructed bomb site, and 3 to 4 at a time is, you know, probably the optimal number that you're looking for on a bomb site. But really on Garrison, when you're entering the A site, there's like 10 or 20 spots that the CT has to check. And, you know, they can kill them from pretty much any of these spots, so it's way too many. Especially when some of them are even behind them or above them, and some are even behind and above them. So yeah, that's problematic in itself. Now, the other problem is I can watch A site, especially Soda Pop, from spawn with a tree covering me on the B side. So I'm basically can't be seen from B, and I have vision on a particular spot that I really shouldn't have from the B side. So I should under no circumstance have the ability to look at or kill someone from the spawn or on B side, and that should just be fixed right away. Now, in conclusion, if you run a server with a casual kind of setting where you like to play, you know, goofy kinds of open space maps, then this is great. So go ahead and put in your rotation. But with all the art bugs, the lack of a focused art direction, and the layout problems, and the general lack of polish, it really holds this map back from what it can be, which is a fun but spiritual competitive successor to the 2 best maps in CSGO. So right now, if this was a competitive map, I would give it pretty much a 6 out of 10. It's an above average score. It just passes. And that's only because the B-site play is so great on this map. What really lets this map down is the very open and complex A-site that has way too many angles, the real lack of a contestable and very simple mid. I mean, the mid on this map was just confusing. There was like 4 or 5 different routes that people could go through. There was only really 2 ways that they could get into the mid. There was really no reason for you to really contest the mid, because whatever spots people could be coming from, it was only really 2 or 3 spots into each site, so you could have those covered with crossfires or having someone just watch that spot. It's pretty simple. And the fact that the A side is really hard to not only take as a T, but defend once the bomb is planted. So at the time of this review, the map was a beta, but this is really far from what I would expect from a map that was pegged on Reddit to be a competitive map. And especially when it has this much of an art polish to it, I would expect it to be, you know, very close to pretty much done, but this is pretty far from it. So I suggest that the map maker kind of takes these suggestions and just fixes up the whole kind of A site and maybe that area outside the B, and maybe make the middle a little bit more simple and, you know, faster to access for the CTs, so that they can kind of contest it and gain some control of it. So that way, you know, you don't have people rushing you with P90s to try and take the site. And so with that comes the end of the video. Now, I just wanted to say, guys, I created this video series to really give feedback to the map makers, to give them exposure for their actual creations, and I hope that's what I have achieved today. I hope that they can maybe fix the map in a more competitive kind of way, and maybe even still keep the map fun. Now, I just wanted to say, if you guys liked the video, like it. If you hated it, dislike the video. If you want me to make more of these, subscribe to me. And if you have a future map that I should check out or review, put it in the comment section below with a link, or even Twitter it to me or something like that, and I should be able to check it out. Now, I just wanted to also say that I love you guys so much. You know, I've gotten to 400 subs. I'm getting pretty close to my 500 subscriber count, so if we could reach 500 subs anytime soon, you know, that would just make my year really for 2016. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next video. Catch you later.